In American Horror Story, there are some characters who are so bad they're good, like Fiona Good and Marie Laveau, and then you have the reverse, where they're so bad they're terrible. And that is the case with Dinah Stevens. But before I get into her character, it's Black Witch Month, which means that for every day this month that I can, I'll be covering a Black Witch in TV or movie. And today, it's Dinah Stevens from American Horror Story Season 8, Apocalypse. Now, when Dinah Stevens is first presented to us in Outpost 3, she's presented as somebody who's kind, caring, encouraging, humble, and at times a bit above it all. Yet Dinah harbors one of the darkest secrets of all of the members of Outpost 3, and that's something that only she and Michael Langdon know. And for audiences, we later find out that Dinah is the Voodoo Queen after Marie Laveau. Now, unlike her predecessor, the former Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau, who had all of the makings of a good anti-hero, Dinah Stevens is a straight-up villain. Because even though she presents as somebody who's cool and calm, underneath that facade is somebody who's really ruthless, cunning, and calculated, and even worse, somebody who's willing to sacrifice everybody for their own gain. And this is something that is such a part of her personality that her son mentions it to her while they're in Outpost 3 together. Now, ironically, one of the most interesting things about Dinah is that unlike Marie, she was not willing to sell her soul to Papa Legba for immortality, stating that the price that he was charging, i.e. for the babies, was too high and just not worth it. Now, unlike the former Voodoo Queen, who appeared to be rather content with her role as the Mambo, happily living in Louisiana and working a meager living or a humble living at Cornrow City, Dinah wanted more for herself. And of course, there's nothing wrong with wanting more for yourself, but the methods that Dinah took to achieve the means is something that can only be described as exploitive and opportunistic with a hint of deadliness to it. Because Dinah was willing to exploit her gifts as the new Voodoo Queen by moving to LA, exploiting the desires of the rich people who lived there by granting them wishes, killing people in the process. And then, in order to elevate herself even further, she was willing to make a deal that caused the death of multiple witches. And it's actually in her quest for power that Dinah directly contributed to the apocalypse as we know it. Because it's only when Cordelia reaches out to her for her help in summoning Papa Legba that Dinah overhears the conversation happening between the three of them, i.e. Nan, Cordelia, and Papa Legba, where Cordelia asks Papa Legba to banish the Antichrist, understanding the threat that he's becoming. And it's here that Dinah takes this information and then decides to make her own deal of sorts. A deal that would make her rich and famous, surpassing that of the likes of Oprah, and somebody who would make so much money that she'd be able to buy a ticket for her and her son into Outpost 3. And you know you have to be absolutely devious to impress the Antichrist, because it's what happens as a result of their deal that really cements Dinah as an ally to Michael. And that's because at one point in the series or in the season, Dinah is willing to use her powers to unward the wards that Miss Robichaux's academy has up to protect the witches that live within it. So Dinah uses a ritual in which she's able to remove these wards completely, allowing Michael and Mrs. Mead to go inside and unalive as many witches as they can, which results in the deaths of Zoe and Queenie respectively. And this is something that was shocking because nobody was supposed to have gone in or break the wards in the coven, solidifying Dinah as not only a powerful mambo, but somebody who's just incredibly evil. However, everybody leaves a trail. And as smart and calculated as Dinah believes herself to be, there's always someone smarter and more calculated. And in this case, our smarter and more calculated person was Madison Montgomery, who was able to quickly connect the dots between Dinah's quick ascension from humble New Orleans mambo to priestess and high ritualist of the stars to a talk show host who's more famous and richer than Oprah. The writing on the wall was clear at that point. She was able to deduce by all of those things that Dinah had sold her soul. Now fast forward several years to Outpost 3, where Dinah is living in relative comfort considering the situation, and unbeknownst to anybody else in the house, she has colluded with the person who is causing their misery. And unbeknownst to her though, Michael Langdon had pissed off the operator and manager of Outpost 3, Mrs. Venable. And so Mrs. Venable poisons the apples that she later feeds to the guest of Outpost 3, resulting in the deaths of basically everybody, Dinah included. And so it's at this point when Mallory dies, which triggers the events that wake up Cordelia, Madison, and Myrtle, where Dinah is revived, right? And this is where shit really hits the fan for her. Now, once Cordelia, Myrtle, and Mallory come to Outpost 3, they revive all of the witches who are present there, which include Coco, Mallory, and Dinah. And it's at this point where they realize the full extent of Dinah's treachery, because when Cordelia offers Dinah the opportunity to stand with the witches, she elects not to, saying that the only team she's on is the winning team, and this will lead to her downfall. But it's at this point that Cordelia is able to play the trick that she's been holding all along, and that trick is to reveal the one and only Voodoo Queen, Marie Laveau. Now, this is obviously confusing to both Dinah and Michael, because they're both aware of the fact that she's been in hell. So how is she here? What deal did she have to make? And this would be the downfall of Dinah, because Marie tells her that she promised Papa Legba that in exchange for her freedom and her assistance of the witches, she would give him the soul of the most evil Voodoo Queen, the most vile Voodoo Queen, and the soul belongs to Dinah. And so she unalives Dinah by slitting her throat, thus fulfilling her end of the bargain, making her solid with Papa Legba. Now, personally, I think Dinah got the easy way out, but I should hope that between Papa Legba and Nan, they both have a great time torturing her in hell. Anyways, if you like Dinah Stevens, let me know in the comments, and of course, I hope to see you guys in my next video.